Okay, just looking at a simple petrol tank removal on the Zx6r here. As you can see, the tank doesn't actually need to be fully removed. It's actually okay just to kind of rest it up on the top bracket there. There's no need to empty all of the fuel as it says in the book. You can see that we've removed the two screws there from the back, which is actually a bracket that sits on there, which looks like that. It just sits on the back, and then there's two which sit on the front, which look like that. Obviously, just remember when you put them back on to apply the copper grease, which I've done. These two little things here go underneath the tank. I'll show you where they go later, just to stop any vibration. And of course that little bracket there is just to keep the seat on. So looking at this, if we just come down in here, it's quite difficult to see, but you can see where the two pipes, there's one pipe here situated there, and just loosen the little clip there, just to take off the fuel filter, and of course this one here as well, leave the clip on there. It's important to remember with this that the fuel is obviously in the off position. There's a screw inside there. It's just useful to take that off. Obviously removing the tank, you can't get the tank out of the frame here without removing this. There's a screw in there which allows you to do that. But just remember it's in the off position obviously before you start undoing any clips. And don't obviously turn it any further. If you look down here, we've got the old filter with a little bit of fuel in the pan here. You can see inside there it's quite dirty. Obviously in comparison, don't touch. Obviously in comparison to the new one, it's all nice and clean there inside. Ideal. Okay, so just looking back at this, obviously we're now going to fit this back into place. I'm going to put it inside there, and obviously just remembering to fit this little securing bracket over the top of the fuel filter. So I'll put it back in place and I'll show you what it should look like. There you go, you can see now that the filter's in place. Just need to move the clips down on the two ends. The bracket's secured over the top there, and there's a clip there. Obviously need to move that down, and of course this down as well, and then we can look at putting the tank back on and getting it back into place. Obviously here, looking there now, got the tank back in place with the two obviously sort of vibration bung, if you like. Obviously in place at the top, in place at the bottom, ready to fit the bracket again, and obviously around the other side you just got that other vibration bung there as well. Obviously copper grease on the screw. It's a bit hard to focus on that, but just a bit of copper grease in there, obviously into place. And then the other one into place as well. Just make sure that those rubber washers underneath those main washers, there's a rubber washer, just make sure that they're in situ before reapplying the pressure to the tank, because obviously the rubber takes off any vibration. So with these, obviously just nipping them up, not over tight, just nipping them up with a 5mm Allen key there. At this point it's important not to tighten these, because we want to just obviously apply the rear set here as well. So again, obviously copper grease on the screws before they go into position, and that just fits nicely there. And obviously got the rubber vibration there underneath the battery. So really, like I say, there's no need to empty the whole tank of fuel. as it says in the handbook, and there's actually no need to remove the fuel tank completely off the bike. You can leave it in situ, as long as you've obviously just got a bit of hose there just to direct that bit of fuel away from the bike, obviously, which there's always going to be a little bit there, but at the end of the day, if it spills, it spills. It's not too much. Okay, so the manual says to tighten up the rear sets first. I always like to do them semi-tight, if I'm being honest. Done this quite a few times, so obviously don't want to over tighten it. And just nip it up like that. Obviously different size Allen key for that. For the front's 5mm, of course that's 8mm. Obviously the front ones now, we want to nip them up just a little bit more. So you don't have to be over tight. At the end of the day, they are locking nuts underneath. Just, I suppose the most important thing here is just to watch your paintwork on the bike. There's a way to do everything really. Okay, so that's all nice and tight now. The next thing to put in position is just the seat, which is obviously at the back, and you need this bracket here. Again, a little bit of copper grease, always good for the threads, but as you know, that just hooks underneath there and sits in that locator there, hooks underneath the seat. Okay, so just using a 10mm socket there on an extender, obviously just to get to that bolt. You just want to nip that up. Again, not over tight, but tight enough just to secure the seat. Okay.